Hey everybody! Welcome back to Northernlion Plays a Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. Very early on in a proto streak, can I get good mojo on the re-roll, please? The random roll looks like a Judas to me, or a Cain? That's fine by me. 972N FBX0. I want to start with a little bit of a... It's not really an announcement. It's kind of like an announcement. There will be an announcement. And that's, without burying the lead too much, I've decided to do a third save file, which I know borders on self-parody. But I asked, because I didn't realize, you know, a lot of people in the comments were like, will you ever do a third save file? And I was like, you know what? Feels like just yesterday we completed the second save file, but that's like obviously not the case. You know, we've been at it for quite some time, long enough to be back to doing streaks, so I will start doing a third save file. The bad news, or good news depending on your perspective, is that I'm not going to do it until I'm done with this current iteration of the streak. And you know, this is a me decision, it's a selfish decision. I firmly believe that at some point, we're going to bust off like a 200, 250, 300 streak. I feel the excitement and the electricity of magic in the air. I want to make it happen. I'll try to make it happen on this one. If it doesn't, hey, third save file. And then we can, you know, rebuild our skills from the ground up. Get the 3,000,000% achievement that, to be honest with you, I mean, there's probably other people out there that have done it. I don't think I'm the only person out there that's ever deigned to get that done. But I think it's, okay, that's fair. One spirit art for 10 cents. I can live with it. I think it's definitely a rarity. Let's put it that way. By the way, have you noticed, speaking of rarity, like how good this first floor was? We got a tiers upgrade, a lot of money, a lot of consumables. I'm going to preserve our arcade chance. And I am also going to... I'll probably go to the curse room because we got the HP to burn right now. It's a little bit of a... I don't want to call it a waste, but... Ooh, absolutely. This is a good start. And forget Ace of Hearts, it's trash. What about this? Ace of Hearts, that's much better. Okay, so we're gonna go to the curse room, and then we're good to go. Alright, we're good to fight the boss at least. Ooh. Yes, open it, please. Lucky me. Now I'm like, okay, we have 14 cents. That's enough to get an arcade next floor. Not too worried about Guppy's Paw early, just happy to have the Guppy item. Yeah, so too long, didn't watch. What's the game plan? The streak will go as long as it goes. If it's today... We'll start the third save file tomorrow. If it's, you know, 6 months from now, you know, that's like that would be like a 300 streak, which would be a little ridiculous, but dude, absolutely. And if you're the kind of person who's like, well, I hope it doesn't take 6 months, you know what? Frig you, buddy. You're entitled to like what you like, okay? And want to watch what you want to watch. But that would be an amazing feat for me, so, because I don't want to see Usain Bolt break the world record. I want to see him show up at the bookstore so I can get a signature, you know? So you're not necessarily wrong. It's just it's a little bit like, you know, put someone else's priorities first, I guess is what I would say. Anyway, this is going well so far. So I have an incentive because, like, you know, all I can think of when it comes to a third save file, and I do want to point out, there are things we do not have unlocked on this save file yet, but they're, like, boring. We can knock them out when we need to get 3,000,000%, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Things like, you know, use the blank card with the sun card or whatever. You know, use the Bible to kill mom 100 times. These are things that I've mostly made up, but they're in the same vein. I'm a fan of Explosivo. But anyway, all I can think of when I think of starting a new streak is, like, those first 30 runs where it's basically just to mom or mom's heart and it takes us forever to unlock everything, but it is what it is. That's half the fun. The most fun is when we have to do the challenging stuff all over again. Win everything as the keeper, beat everything as a lost, all the difficult challenges, etc., etc. Do we want BFF? Oh, dude. I didn't realize Jarrowfly's Vibrant Bulb. What a combination. Whoop! Little spooky. 100% always illuminated. Thank you. Combined with, I mean, Jar of Flies just being a useful item in its own right. Okay, so let's fight the boss. I'm not taking the pill yet because, again, I'm not going to get distracted by all this save file dialogue just yet. It's very important that we, ooh. Ooh. Now, I know I'm just making noises at this point, but that's 2 guppy items for 0. That's absurd. Unfortunately, we have no means to access our item room anymore. Except, perhaps via the shop. Look at this. If we get another bomb, I would like to fight an angel statue. We're never going to get the other key piece, though. It's very unlikely, but maybe it's an okay use of a single bomb. So I'm going to buy a key. I'm going to blow you up. I'm probably going to get BF disregarded. That's what happens when you get ahead of yourself. So I'm recording. It's the day before my day off, as, you know, many episodes are at this point in my life. We've already been to our item room. You fool. That's where you got Explosivo. And I think at this point we, like, definitely want to go to our curse room. Yeah. Open this up. Grab that. I'm gonna go a little deep on this one just to get like maximum. Yeah, that seems good. Sorry, I'm listening because like we have a company coming in from out of town. I didn't get a text from Kate that was like, hey, we're coming over to the, I was gonna say the office, but let's be honest, it's my personal residence. And I'm in my underwear right now. I would expect a text, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't my company coming over. Otherwise, you know, that would be a little bit embarrassing. Anyway, why am I in my underwear? Because it's hot outside. You know, I'm not trying to invite you to imagine me in my underwear. Trust me, that's like the last thing I would like to create here, is that mental image. I'm just being honest with you about the reason that I might have seemed distracted temporarily there mere moments ago. Anyway, yeah, for now, put the idea of the 3rd save file in the back of your mind and no further towards the front. We're endeavoring, I'm committed to the streak, 100%. But I subscribe to a couple of ideas when it comes to this business, and one of those ideas, very near the forefront, is give the people what they want, you know? I like playing Isaac, people like watching it. If people say, hey, the 3rd save file is what we want to see, the 3rd save file is what you're going to see. Just allow me a little bit of an indulgence here as I try to build, you know, something special that would be good for my self-esteem as well. How does that make you feel? Good. I hope it makes you feel good. It makes you feel appreciated. Your feedback is, you know, unlike most social media accounts for airlines, when I say, oh, your feedback's greatly appreciated, I mean it. Because, you know, in the end, you know, if you need to fly on an airplane, here's the thing. I've had bad experiences with airlines. I've had one quite bad experience with Air Canada. I still fly Air Canada all the time. You know why? Because in the end, when I look at flight options, if Air Canada is $500 and Delta is $700, I will fly with Air Canada. And sometimes, if Air Canada is $700 and Delta is $500, but you have to spend 4 hours, well, 4 hours I would probably do, but you got to spend like 8 hours at the Phoenix airport or something like that, I would be like, you know what, just give me the direct flight. Like, my principles when it comes to customer service, I think it's an idle threat. I think companies have started to realize that. Like, it really felt like a few years ago, if you called out a company on social media, they would be like, I will do anything to keep your business. I'm so sorry this happened to you. Now, it's like, yeah, get in line, buddy. You know, we fly 4 million people a day. 1% of them historically have, like, a serious problem with us. I know you're going to be back again. I can look at your consumer records. I think that's true to some extent. There's only a few companies I have fully boycotted, will not do business with. One of them, of course, is the Subway Corporation, as we've talked about. And again, I'm open to changing my mind on that. I just haven't seen a compelling reason to do so yet. Apart from that, there are, like, I would prefer to not fly, like, Allegiant or Spirit Airlines ever again in my entire life. But that's not because I was betrayed by them. It's because they suck. But their whole point of existence is sucking. If you're not familiar, it's like, it's basically Ryanair, you know, if you're European. So they offer incredibly cheap flights with no frills whatsoever. So, for example, you know, normally when you fly, you get a boarding pass, and you can choose to have it printed, or you can just have it digitally sent to your phone. More and more these days, people are definitely choosing to have it sent to their phone. On Allegiant, if you don't have it sent to your phone and they have to print one for you, they charge you $50. Is it worth $50? No, but simultaneously, your ticket from Bellingham to Oakland is also not worth $75. They got a nickel and dime you. Like, that's your $50 forgetfulness fee is subsidizing the low-cost fares of the other passengers. So don't forget. I think they do what it says on the tin. I hate them, and given the option, I would prefer not to fly with them. But it is what it is, you know. I can't really complain. And if specifically I wanted to go to Bellingham or Oakland, or they always fly into like the airport just outside of the major airport because it's cheaper. I remember one time Kate and I were flying on Allegiant Airlines, and there was a husband. I mean, he was a man, but it was the patriarch of a family of 2 young kids arguing like in a screaming match with the gate agent, and was like, my kids are 3 years old and 5 years old, and we're not allowed to like have any of us sit together. And then the woman, bless her, she was like, well, there's like a $50 seat assignment fee that you have to pay. And the dude was like, this is outrageous. And I think at some point she just wanted to like, whisper and be like, dude, you know what airline you're flying on, right? This ticket is like the price of a nice steak. We literally offer like no frills. Kind of the point of it is that you're making a deal with the devil, and the devil might be like, sorry, you can't sit with your 3-year-old during your flight. If you wanted to sit with your 3-year-old, by the way, I'm not defending the practice because it's obviously horrible. But, I imagine if you want to fly people on airplanes for very, very little money, you've got to be kind of a piece of garbage. You can't be making exceptions, because then people will be like, well, I have anxiety, I want to sit with my wife. They're preying on that. That's what the $50 gets you. But by and large, like, if I really feel like it used to be like, if I could tweet a company and if I had a genuine reason to be furious, I'd be like, hey, this isn't cool, guys. There's a good chance you'd get a response that was like deferential. In today's modern world, I really feel like if you're like, this is unacceptable, my bags arrived 14 days after I arrived at my destination, they're just like, hey, we're sorry that happened to you, but if there's nothing we can do for you, can you please stop clogging up our social feed? What are you gonna do? I had that happen once. I used to think it was because people are always like, every time I fly with this airline, they lose my bags. And I was like, maybe you are doing something wrong, because that seems unlikely. And then I flew with Air Canada last year, and they lost my bags. And I was like, suddenly, I believe everybody. So, wait a minute, now that it's happened to me, I believe your story is true. And you can say that that makes me a bad person, but we all do it to some extent as well. How many of y'all have done, donated to malaria research in the past year? Low percentage, I'm imagining. Now, I'm guaranteeing you, if one of you gets malaria, the tweets are going to start flying. And that doesn't make you a bad person either. It's just, human beings are more motivated by self-interest than selfless interest most of the time. I think, at least. And I don't even think that's cynical. You can be motivated by both. I'm just saying, when it comes to which one motivates you more, I'm more motivated by my own hunger than I am by a stranger's most of the time. Where are we going here? Well, hopefully we're going down a road that makes me look a little bit less like a jerk. And a little bit more like a well-adjusted piece of society, which I actually am. I got a little rattled. And I'm not going to lie, I got a little rattled. Because recently there was a conversation on the NLSS that some people found slightly controversial, and I think that's fair. Cobalt Streak was on, and he said that, college is a big waste of time and money. I think that's very controversial. I disagree with him, and I told him at the time. That being said, it's not really the kind of show where you're like, next up on Crossfire, we're going to debate. That's not how it goes. So I was like, I disagree with you. But then people were mad about it, and to some extent, justifiably so. They were like, I think that's a bit of an ignorant thing to say. And, without holding any ill will over Cobalt, I think that that's one way to describe it. It is not necessarily unfair. I think that college is a waste of money for some people, and I think for some professions, it's absolutely essential. And then for some majors that you wouldn't consider essential, college is still a good use of your money if, you know, it is what you make of it, you know? It's not like you have to be a STEM major. I know that sometimes people offer that assumption that that's what I believe. That's not the case. Biology is the English of STEM. I want you to know when people are talking about, well, I have a degree in a STEM subject, they're not talking about me. They're usually talking about engineers. Anyway, take me out of here. Joker, please. Ooh, they said the Joker was a wanted man. Absolutely, we'll take it, of course. And then, High Priestess Moon. We'll stick with Moon, because we definitely want to keep Black card, but we want to keep both Jokers as well. So, I think we're out of this floor for now. But then, somebody in the comments, and they were, like, not highly upvoted, but they were up there. You know, they were, like, 7th or 8th on the comment list. They were like, despite this, Cobalt is the most grown-up member of the NLSS crew. And then, someone said, how do you figure? And then he said, by contribution to society. That's like, and this is not against Cobalt, and then he stretched the imagination. It's a little bit of an insult to start ranking NLSS members by contribution to society. I'm not going to argue against Cobalt, because I think that's in bad taste. What I will say is, you know, what quantifies contribution to society? Charitable donations, amount of tax paid into social services, producing a child. You know, these are not just things that I've done, which is why I put producing a child in there. I'm actually trying to figure it out. I'll give you Malf and Josh. Malf and Josh, 100% grown up. You know what I use as a measurement for quantification there? Both of them have a career path that doesn't involve sitting down and playing video games. And that sounds like I'm insulting my own job, but that's not really the case. You know, in this job, there's no upward momentum. There's no king streamer, you know, on the CEO of streamer. You can branch into other stuff, you can get bigger and smaller, but like, this is a job that can also be a career. They're in like paths, mature paths with job security and 401k matching and benefits and etc., etc. You know, those are mature decisions that you make as you get older and you're, you know, planning on having a family and you want some stability. Josh is engaged to be married. He owns a home. I'm not trying to use just like the oldest school measurements of adulthood, but you know, I would put them up there. But I would also, I'm putting myself up there. I will say there was a little self-interest. We'll blacker in this, I think. There was a little self-interest where I was like, I kind of feel like I'm being left in the lurch here. But I'll leave that up to you guys. I really think that what the message that individual actually had was probably they were sorting people by bedtime. Like, NL wakes up at 10. He's a layabout. Well, yes and no. I don't take offense to the idea that this is not a grown-up job, by the way. Like, I want to head this off in the past, but like, you don't need to be offended on my own behalf. You're like, oh, don't insult yourself. My self-esteem with this job is high. I think we should take the ability to fly. We're getting a little dicey on the HP standpoint, but we wanted that just because it's free and we get a black card out of it, and then we'll take that, and we got lucky we didn't touch anything, and we are good to go. Like, I'm proud of myself. I work hard, and, you know, I'm dedicated to the job. I do something that I love. But it's not a very grown-up job. I would say the same about being a stand-up comedian. I would say this, to some extent, I'd say the same about being an actor. It's kind of like, you know, any job where you are involved in entertainment. It's not that it's not a real job from the perspective of, you know, taking your time and being stressful and producing something good for society. I don't know. It's just kind of like, I guess I don't have a leg to stand on in my own argument, but thank you for coming to my defense. I appreciate it. Whatever. Anyway, this run has gotten, I mean, just absurdly good. All I'm saying is I aspire to be considered an adult, so the fact that I was not considered an adult has exposed, I guess, a prideful weakness in me that hurts a little bit. And that's basically what it came down to. I don't want to be ranked over my friends. I just want to be in the conversation for, like, he is also mature. What is my definition of mature? I don't know. Where a roughly 30-year-old should be. He pays his bills on time. He's building for a future. And he treats his audience with respect. You know, is that good enough? If that's good enough for you, that's good enough for me. And hopefully vice versa. Well, I botched that one miserably. So I definitely do... I mean, this is the guppy floor, as far as I'm concerned. We got a lot of chances. I want to see the item room. We're going to Joker. Regardless of whether or not we fight, or we get a deal with the devil naturally, we're going to Joker. Nope. Nope. Not good enough. We can afford to be more choosy. Like, choosy moms, choosing Jif. We're choosing the wafer, which is definitely our best option here. We're gonna kill mom in, like, you know, fraction of the time that it would normally take. Abel, I gotta be honest with you, the biggest thing I could say about my evaluation of Abel is that I've been watching Corey play Isaac dailies, which, again, something we're gonna have to do a bunch of in order to complete that third save file, but I kind of like dailies. I'm just out of the meta. I was watching Corey do Isaac dailies, and he didn't take Abel because, although it's not useless, it's very bad, and on top of this, it gives you minus points on the daily, so he opted not even to pick it up. That's pretty much the most, like, the greatest damnation of an item you could ever give. You know? Yeah, it's not horrendous, I guess, but at the same time, it's not worth losing one rank on the leaderboards for picking it up. Oh well. We should have time. The only way we won't have time is if we fight Krampus, but that just means we shouldn't go to our deal with the devil right away. We should just use the Joker card. Grab this. To be honest, those are kind of terrible. I told you it was the guppy floor. And straight up, I do not believe we need the nail. I'm very happy to have the all stats upgrade that we get as a result of this. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. I don't think I really have a complex about wanting to be seen as an adult, but I am... I guess I consider myself overly serious. Which is a hallmark of adulthood, to some extent. The thing that makes me most adult, not out of... you know, anybody in our crew, but the thing that makes me, the attribute I have that makes me the most adult out of any attribute that I have is the fact that I look forward to adulthood. People have been asking me because I'm getting closer to 30. You know, it's like 3 months-ish away. They're like, are you excited? Or are you anxious that you're going to be turning 30? And I'm like, you know, I look at it very analytically. It's just another day. You know, you're 29.993 years old, and then, you know I'm an adult as well, because I took the time to almost do that back of the napkin calculation. And then, and I was way off, by the way, I think. But either way, you know, the next day, you're 30.02 or something like that. It's not really a big deal. You're only aging 1 day in the whole scheme of things, but as a symbolic thing, you know, I look forward to the 30s. Not the 1930s. I mean, that would be miserable. I would be... Oh, like, certainly drafted. I would have to imagine. Well, yeah, probably. I'm a big streamer. You can't take me. The morale of the nation will suffer. Anyway. I look forward to my 30s. I look forward to... I don't know. The 20s are exciting. You know, I've lived almost all of them. I've had... adventures, friendships come and go. I've traveled. I built a career path in a field that didn't exist when I was, you know, 19, which is very unusual. It's kind of a singular story, but, you know, it's not that I'm bragging or anything. And, you know, now I'm excited to transition to a, you know, what are your 30s defined by most of the time? You know, it's different for everybody, I'm sure, but I should say, but a little bit more stability, you know, working towards the comforts of, you know, what you're going to be like later in life, discovering more of who you're going to be as an adult. Because really, like, when you're, the difference between 20 and 29, and I'm not fighting Hush, and I have a genuine reason this time, I don't want to die 9 times, even though our damage is superb right now. I'm not necessarily a markedly I mean, I'm not a completely transformed person at 30 versus when I was 20. But I'm fairly different. I've mellowed out a lot with age, even though I'm angrier on the show. But I'm definitely, you know, at 20, I was like, how interesting that you, well, what was 20 in like 2008? How interesting that you think the new Wolf Parade is as good as Apologies to the Queen Mary. I knew I was dealing with an intellectual idiot. You know, I was a piece of garbage to some extent. Pedantic, etc., etc. So, you know, I've mellowed out with age. I feel better. I'm a nicer person, believe it or not. I make jokes at my friends' expense. Because we're friends. Which I guess seems a little backwards, but those are teases made out of love. Like when your cat bites you. It's more like, hey, I know you can take it, so here's a little barb about your bangs. I would never make fun of someone's bangs, though, as a very sensitive subject. You know, it's a period of self-discovery. All I'm saying is, I'll be the guy, and apparently this is what these videos have become at this point, is just me endlessly saying, I'll be the guy. I'm a friend of the nerds. I'm a friend of the aging. But, you know, my wife and I have very different opinions. I never get to feel bad about growing old, because every year, she's like, oh my god, I'm turning 25, this is when it all is over. And I'm like, it's not, though. I'm already, like, a little older than that, and life continues. And then this year, she's like, oh my god, you know, next year I'm turning 27, it's all downhill from there. So every year with her, and, you know, I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but she's like, this is the year that life starts going downhill. And I'm like, well, you know, you got to think about the right thing to respond to that. The first thing you say with every year, our bond grows deeper and you grow a year more beautiful. But you got to be careful with your tone. It can come across as sarcastic, okay? I really don't mean it in a sarcastic fashion, but it can come across as sarcastic. But secondarily, what I want to say as a logical person is, well, you said it was downhill 2 years ago, so really you're already on the downslope. And in my head, that means there's nothing to worry about. But obviously in her head, she's like, you think I'm on the downslope? And I'm like, no, I'm just using the rules that you provided. You said you were going downhill. I disagree, and I've made my position on that known. But I'm saying by your rules, it can't be the start of the downhill every year. You've been skiing. Anyway, you can't win the discussion is what I'm trying to say, but I'm not worried about growing old. And at the same time, I recognize it is different for men than for women. To some extent, at least. You know, there's never been a point in my life where I was like, you know, I walked into the office and people were like, who's the new guy? He's hot. So, I mean, not really losing a whole heck of a lot there. So it's not really like a compromise or a crisis. That's the word I'm looking for. It's not really like a crisis of my identity, I suppose, as I get older. I mean, this is what I've always looked out for ever since, you know, I identified myself as like, well, I'm one of the smart kids. Can I be one of the cool kids? No. All right, I'm a smart kid then. I was like, man, I can't wait till I'm in my 60s. And everybody runs at an equal speed, but my brain has been... And then, of course, I started doing this for a living, and my brain shrunk 30% year over year, and, you know, all the people who ran really fast in high school are now, like, vice president level at whatever company they were able to get a job at because of the fact that they learned how to socialize in high school, and as a result, networked really, really well, and, you know, you get the idea. Like I said, if you want a grown-up job... networking. No, I would never give you advice on that. I have not done a job interview since 2010. Maybe I should start doing job interviews for sport. That would probably give me a bad reputation, right? But sometimes, you know, people in coding, they stress out about job interviews because there's so many books and, you know, the standard for the industry, I suppose, is doing like a whiteboard coding test where they go like, hey, sort this list front to back in the minimum amount of cycles required on a whiteboard, you know, so there's people trained for stuff like that. So I've always been interested to be like, you know, if I did an interview, like what level would I qualify for? Not qualified, junior level. Junior is probably the best I could aspire to be honest. But I think if you started doing that, one day a company might call you and be like, hey, you got the job, and you'll be, oh no, I was just testing my skills, sorry. Plus, it seems like, is there anything bigger to waste everybody's time than to apply for a job you don't want or need? You're wasting your time when you could be doing your existing job. You're wasting the interviewer's time. Pretty disrespectful to the other people applying. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to do it. Plus, who knows? I might not like what I find out when I don't get any calls back. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. Again, third save file coming when this streak ends. For now, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. That was a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Boop.